Welcome to The Prize Inside. The Prize Inside. A chiropractor's journey in everyday holistic health and vitality. Here, your host, Dr. Jeremy Myers, delves into the remarkable journeys of everyday people who have embraced the path to health and healing. Through his practice, Dr. Jeremy encounters inspiring stories of profound transformation and the power of true healing within each of us. Stay tuned as we discuss various holistic topics and unlock the healing potential that lies within us all.
Join us as we explore the prize inside, looking at holistic health and extraordinary human potential.
Hi there.
Hi there.
The Prize Inside, a podcast dedicated to holistic living and unlocking your human potential.
All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Whole Health Weekly. It's a fun time. I'm starting to dig the 7:30 time. I don't mind that. Maybe in the summer, it might go back to like 8:30 or something. But so welcome tonight. I got a couple little good tidbits. One is Gina was my office manager. Gina told me about a TikTok thing that's going crazy trendy about lymphatic drainage and herbal things, and I thought it was very interesting. So we're going to go through that. Plus, what we do on this night is we go through the trends that and different news articles that are out there, and then see, based on a holistic perspective, in the sense of chiropractic, right? The chiropractic principles of the innate intelligence of the body. Is it good? Is it bad? Right. And so there's a lot to it. A lot of times we don't know. We get duped because the advertising just takes over the world. So a lot of times you're going to hear the latest and greatest about certain things. And sometimes that's not true, but then sometimes it's actually, something there could be a major benefit to it. So that's what tonight is always about. If you are new to us, please remember that we have this email list. I'm pretty excited. Starting to do more, in January, you get to sit down and really see, okay, how am I going to do, adding like things. So now I've actually added a newsletter. So there's going to be a newsletter. It's basically like the transcript of this of the podcast made into like a newsletter form. So if there's something you missed or, those kind of things, it'll be in there. And that's its Substack. It's called tribe1.substack.com. We are starting to do a new Tuesday email on that as well. That it's called Disease Decoder Tuesday. And so every Tuesday we throw like 3 nuggets that might be useful at you, and then see what's happening. Dr. Rachel decided she was going to throw some stuff in the mix as well. So she's going to do an email from time to time on posture and things that she has noticed over time. So we're going to get that Substack full of not just if you get on that email list, basically it tells you when I'm going on live, and then just information like that. So if you're interested in that kind of information, become part of that Substack list. So tribe1.substack.com. Okay. And so the other one is, remember, the Prize Inside. We're on Rumble. The Prize Inside, a chiropractor's journey, is on Rumble. It's on YouTube. If you look up a Prize Inside, a chiropractor's journey, and we always try to go like Facebook Live. So we're streaming a bunch of different, and X, of course. So X is another great one as well. I think I can see everybody's comments, especially Rumble, and I think in Facebook and those kind of things. So if you haven't subscribed to those, go ahead and do that. And then on Wednesday night, I always start with a chiropractic quote. And so tonight is going to be D.D. Palmer. D.D. Palmer is the guy that discovered chiropractic 100 plus years ago. And he was the first person to basically move a vertebrae, right? So, but I like this. There's a lot of good. You have to use that knowledge, right? It's 100 and some years ago quote. So we're going to be, when you hear it, we'll talk about it. So this one is life is the expression of tone. In that sentence is the basic principle of chiropractic. So in chiropractic, tone is okay. Oh, I'm still going. Okay, good. Whew. I thought I had my mic muted there for a second. So in chiropractic, tone is the expression. It's tone. If you think of tone, your tone, right? It means good or bad, you're in a good tone. A good tone in music is that you're in the right flow, right? In chiropractic, we really, really focus on the tone of your human body. When you play a melody on a piano, if you just hit the keys in all kinds of random ways, it doesn't work out so well. However, if you hit it in an intelligent manner, which is what your innate intelligence does, right? It flows your cells around. It communicates. It becomes a masterpiece. It becomes this beautiful thing. Even at the slightest, I was playing. We got we have a piano. I don't know. We might be, getting rid of it, but once in a while I'll play. I thought I would play more, but I just haven't. But it's beautiful. It's like once you get on there, though, it's crazy how just understanding a couple of the keys, you get a tone and a rhythm that music is flowing. Imagine the cells of your body having that tone. So think that way when you're looking at your own health. Is everything flowing? Is it in a good tone, right? And that's what our ultimate goal is. And that's why holistic is so valuable, because we're trying to feel better each and every day, but also it's not just about feeling better. It's about performing better. It's about all of the feels, right? And so because of that, that's where holistic can really, really help you. So with that said, let's go into the first one that is what Gina talked about today. So on TikTok, there was there's like 3 or 4, it looks like. So there's 4 different herbs that were recommended as like a group of them, okay, that would essentially help with lymphedema. Okay. So lymphedema is kind of a problem that it goes unnoticed. A lot of times, I don't know if everybody has, when you hear the word lymphedema, you're thinking, oh, okay, it's a really, really bad thing. Well, athletes from the youngest to the oldest get this. This is basically the lymph flow not happening, right? And there's a lot of reasons for that. There could be imbalances of muscle, imbalances of joints, imbalances that don't allow things to flow properly. It's not just about, the flow coming, like your heart gives out. So a lot of people think congestive heart failure when they think lymphedema. And lymphedema doesn't have to have any of that, right? So you can be an athlete. You see it with all kinds of different, situations. So what they recommended on TikTok, I thought, like looking at the list, this is pretty good. Okay. So what we're going to do is go over that list. Let me do one thing though, before we get started. Okay. So sorry about that. So what we're going to start with. So the one she told me about is this. These are the 4 herbs they're saying to take in certain time frames, and then it will start to help that lymphedema if that's a thing. Remember, lymph drain, anything that helps lymph is going to help sinuses. Sinuses are lymph, right? So lymph around your cavities, your sinus, all those things, we have to think sinus, right? And that's a good thing to kind of think of when you're talking herbal. Okay. So the first one on the list is dandelion root. Dandelion root is essentially, there's a few things that I really like, and one of the biggest herbs that got me into this. Dandelion root is one of those. It's one of the best gallbladder liver detoxes on the planet, and it's literally a weed that we try to get rid of in our yard. It has this other effect, though. It actually helps with lymphatic drainage. So lymphatic drainage, the flow is what you're looking for. It's considered, I think it's an anti-catarrhal. Let me look that up real quick. So anti-catarrhal is, so an anti-catarrhal is where it breaks up like sinus stuff. Oh, of course, I'm not going to be able to get, oh man. Let me see. I think I can, yeah, I think this is correct. Oh, okay. Never mind. Okay. So essentially we have this thing. So dandelion root, it's good for a lot of things. And the idea is that it helps with lymph drainage very, very well. So that's the first one. Okay. I recommend dandelion root all the time just because of the digestive properties when you're talking like the best gallbladder and liver detox. And it also can do, it could break up and help the lymph drain. That's pretty awesome. Cleavers is an interesting one. I was telling Gina, there's several red ginseng. There's quite a few different ones in the cleaver category. It's really called, if you go back into some of my old videos, there's this thing I call an alterative. It's used for, an alterative is usually something you use for detoxification. A lot of its overall organ health is really good. So cleavers is one of those that is one of many, right? And that category has lots of different ones. Like as you go, the cleaver is just another type of herb in the alterative category. So if you look up like alterative herbs, if you don't necessarily like, the cleavers, because Gina was saying it's kind of hard to find, but I think red ginseng and a few other ones are actually on the market much better, so you can actually go that way. So there's quite a few, but just think lymph drainage. You're also thinking sinus. Okay. So because you want to make sure that lymph, that sinus, that the mucus, the flow of all that is working. It also acts like a diuretic. So like as it goes, a diuretic is something that kind of tells your brain to get rid of the excess water. And so that's what a diuretic does. Now there are herbs out there that'll actually do that, which is very cool. And it helps with lymph, type systems, because it gets rid of like the swelling in the legs and those kind of things. So this is a good list. That's why I was saying. So dandelion root is first, cleavers is second, and then you follow with bromelain. Bromelain, as you know, it's a big one that I keep at the office in the sense of in a lot of my supplementation for anti-inflammatory pain reduction. Bromelain is one of those. It's found in pineapples. One of the best anti-inflammatories out there. It's like right up there with it. So the one I have at the office is called Inflicom, and it's turmeric, ginger, and bromelain. And I have a few others that are fantastic, and the like white willow bark. White willow bark's like aspirin in there. And so a lot of times you can get this good anti-inflammatory from the bromelain, right? So the bromelain is but you could replace it, right, with turmeric, ginger, those kind of things in this list. And there's this thing called rutin. Rutin is another product that it helps kind of enhance and get blood flow going again. So these are the four. I'll say it again so you guys get it. Dandelion root, you start that for a while. Cleavers, bromelain, and rutin. And I'm going to leave it up to the internet. You guys find this stuff, look up lymph drain herbals. And when you see those, it'll tell you how to take them. Okay. So I didn't dive deep enough in there. I just thought that list that she gave me was really, really good. And so with that, it's one of those things that I really want you to, anytime it's an herb, why not try it? why not try this bad boy? Right. So that's the key for me is you guys having that understanding and then going from there. Okay. So let's look at, since we did that. Okay. So now we're going to look at the trends, the health trends of the week. And then we'll go into some really cool articles on true holistic stuff that's come out. Protein. Okay. So this one's interesting. I always like doing it with you guys on Wednesday night. So I always use like AI to kind of scour the internet to find me what is trending. But you have to use the right words in AI or else you get like all the boring stuff. I want to see what's actually trending. Okay, so this one's interesting. I'm going to have a hard time with it. Okay, let's see. So let's read this. So based on current buzz across platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and X, there are 5 health and wellness trends that are gaining huge traction so far this year. These are drawn from expert predictions, viral challenges, and user-generated content. And so we're going to look at all of these. The first one on this list is interesting. It's called, and I haven't seen this, so this is new for me too, protein sodas and functional drinks. These are carbonated beverages infused with protein, often 10 to 20 grams per can, and other nutrients like electrolytes or vitamins, marketed as a fun alternative to traditional protein shakes. Brands like Poppy and Olipop have exploded with TikTok videos showing people incorporating them into their daily routines for snackable protein boosts. The trend emphasizes better for you refreshment over gym-only drinks, making it accessible for casual wellness seekers. Virality stems from the social media challenges where the users rates flavors and they share stuff on energy levels. Okay, so that's super interesting. That's one of the things I would warn on that, something like that, is essentially, the more you break down, the more you can call a lot of chemical interactions in your technically proteins. Okay. This is how we got into the fake sugar problem. So if you remember, one of my favorite analogies is fake sugar came along because a chemist was able to figure out how to get a sugar molecule attached to another chemical to get it to come into your cell. So if you can think of a real sugar molecule from like honey will come into your body, be used as energy and be gone. Okay. But a fake sugar one, like whatever, name the condition or name the chemical, whatever. It's like you say, oh, it's not got real sugar, it's got this fake stuff to make it sweeter. Whatever that is. Well, the problem is like, think of this chemical has to come in like it's like a semi truck, and the semi truck has the sugar molecule in it. That's the only way the body will take it. So all of a sudden you got the semi truck in, and then it drops off the sugar molecule, and now you have an empty semi truck. But we don't have semi trucks as food, right? And what occurs a lot of times is then that truck becomes an enemy to your body. Once it drops off its process of, the sugar, all of a sudden it becomes an immune system problem. And so now we have to break that up. One of the biggest problems with fake sugar is that it's that you got this other molecule that's coming in. My worry is, and it's already happened in protein powders, you want to be a good protein powder. My opinion, this is just my opinion. I'm sure you get some actual benefit from some of these things. And who knows what they're, what's bringing that protein in. But when you get it from nature, one of the things that happens is it's really, really smart to digest, break down, and get the amino acids out of that protein, right? So if all we're doing, and this happens a lot, if all we're doing is protein powders, doesn't matter if it's really good for you or not, your body is not going through the full digestive process when that is occurring. Okay. And so is it the best for you? Probably not. Protein sodas, you'd have to convince me that it's actually real protein, or are they getting away with saying that and then doing what they did to us with fake sugar? So I would just watch that very closely, watch and see, where that goes. Okay. Because protein in a soda seems pretty sketch to me because there's a lot to proteins. They got to get broke down into amino acids. I don't know how, without going through the digestive process, and you're just, you're just absorbing the proteins. That throws me off as far as holistic goes. So I would say be cautious if you see protein sodas. I'm guessing, it's a very good marketing ploy because a lot of times, everybody's looking for it. But the problem is like if you're doing all protein, let's say you're doing ketogenic, the amount of sugar that's going to have to be in that protein soda to make it palatable is going to throw you off anyway. So it's really not going to be a great ketogenic situation either. So, caution yourself as you go. That's what I would say. And that was protein sodas and functional drinks. Now, here's the other one, functional drinks. Okay, so let's get away from the protein soda for a second. I have at my office liquid multivitamin. Liquid multivitamin's fantastic, because of that it doesn't have to go through the digestive process. A multivitamin in that sense is a little more beneficial because we don't have to break down food to get to the vitamin, right? And sometimes our gut bacteria is so messed up that we can't break it down like we want to anyway, right? And so having this liquid multi, you're going to get those vitamins. So a multivitamin drink with not a lot of sugar in it will be the way I would go, right? And then get a liquid drink, right? So like with my liquid multivitamin, you can put it in your water, kind of tastes like Kool-Aid, right? Or something like a flavored water. And that's a really good way to go. Same with, just, putting different fruits and vegetables in there as well. So I think that's a good trend. Maybe a functional drink. I love kombucha. Kombucha is pretty good. Like even the ones at the store, I'm pretty impressed with. I'm not sure, if it's like a pure kombucha. I don't know why. I'm going to start this summer. We're going to do my own like kombucha in a big jar. We're going to see what happens. I want to create some and just have it as a drink. I get to do the teas now. I got that into my habits of daily life. And so now I want to add this kombucha for like a summer day, right? And that kombuchas can be fantastic. They really, really taste good and give you a ton of electrolytes too. So remember that. We'll probably do a little kombucha, how to create kombucha, because that way I can watch and learn as well. All right. Okay, so this next trend is called cycle syncing. All right. I hope this is not what I'm thinking. No, I'm just kidding. This involves aligning workouts, diet, and self-care with your menstrual cycle phases: follicular, ovulatory, luteal, and menstrual, to optimize energy and hormones. For example, high-intensity exercise during the follicular phase when energy peaks, and gentler yoga in the luteal phase to combat PMS. It's blowing up on TikTok with cycle syncing hashtags amass millions of views, often featuring women sharing personalized meal plans or mood trackers. The appeal is empowerment through body awareness, especially for women's health. Potential perks are reduced fatigue, better mood regulation, and improved fertility tracking. It's not a one size fits all, so you got to consult your doctor if you have irregular cycles now. But and remember, it's more about listening to your body than the strict rules. Okay. I love that. I love this concept. This one could be really, really good, especially with my females. The females go through this cyclical phase every single month, right? We have different stages of this. As we work out, there's a need for differences in our workout. like you'll stress a brain out if you're a pure weightlifter, and then all of a sudden you went into yoga, right? But a lot of times, if you can do those things, you really tonify, like we talked about in the beginning, we really tonify the body into different, structures. If we do one and just keep doing the one, and we start to have some major issues. So like, because we're really strong in one, but maybe not in other areas. So let's say I don't do any cardio work, but I do weightlifting, right? So the cardio is important. Like oxygen energy is very important. The weightlifting is important as well. Well, you just have to make sure there's a good mix. Stretching, flexibility, all of these things lead to better performance in the other aspects. Okay. And so what happens is like we overwhelm ourselves, and because we have such success in one or the other, which is so crazy because I see it all the time. Women, a lot of women are very flexible, and so they actually attract themselves to like yoga type exercises or workouts, and they'll do that more often than the weightlifting. Where in my opinion, women as they age will lose strength but not flexibility. So they'll be as flexible, in 70 as they were at like 40, maybe a little less, but they will be pretty close. Men, in my opinion, lose flexibility and not strength. So we have men at an older age could probably lift fairly close to what they did before, but now they're very, very stiff, right? So and you can see this in real life. You can watch a man as he ages, he starts getting stiffer and stiffer and stiffer. And a woman will slightly get weaker, as we go. And that is a trend I can tell you in every chiropractic office, right? Or anybody working on patients will say that. And part of it is, I think it's just the makeup difference, right? Of what we're good at. Now, the other thing is how society goes. You tend to do things that you're good at, and do that more often, right? And so that's one of the things. Like right now, talking to you about this, I'm struggling even thinking about doing yoga. And I've done it before, and it's incredible once you get into the flow of it. That type of stretching is amazing. But is it the first thing that comes to mind as Jeremy? No, not a fan. But once I started doing it, I really became a fan, right? So that's the kind of cool thing about, looking at that. But this what was it called? Sync cycling. Look that up. So cycle syncing, look it up, see what they're doing. I think that would be a really good one, actually. So that is interesting. Okay. So the next one, that's a top 3. This is interesting. So we haven't talked about this in a long time because, it's up to you, all those things. So GLP-1 expansion. So this is the medications about that are going off the shelves because everybody loses 10 pounds, but we don't know the side effects of it or anything yet, pretty much. But GLP-1 agonists, originally for diabetes, are now viral for weight loss and broader health issues like managing PCOS or heart health. Social media is flooded with transformation stories and debates on platforms like X and TikTok, with users discussing accessibility and side effects. In 2026, the trend focused on integrating them with lifestyle changes for sustainable results. Popularity comes from celebrity endorsements, which usually tells you a little bit, and real user testimonials. Benefits of significant weight loss, maybe some better blood sugar control, reduced inflammation. Here's the drawbacks. It includes potential nausea, muscle loss if not paired with exercise, and high cost. It's prescription only, and you have to see a healthcare provider. I can give you a few other things. So when you have a GLP-1 is the hormone essentially that basically tells your brain that your body is full. Okay. When I do any trickery to my body will make me pay dearly. When I fake that I'm not in pain and I take a painkiller and I do some things against the will of my of the body, you're going to have the check will be due. Okay. So the time will come where you will pay that price. GLP-1 is a thing that's essentially telling your brain you are full all the time. Okay. Without getting too crazy, if I tell the body it's full all the time, what happens to the saliva in your mouth? Oh, yeah, it increases because it thinks you're eating. What happens to the gallbladder? Oh, it turns on because we have to start getting the liver and the gallbladder have to start activating, because once you do that, it's telling the body it's full. It's absolutely telling the body it's full. So what happens? You have this liver and gallbladder has to turn on. What happens to pancreas? The pancreas turns on and tries to put enough insulin. But here's the problem. It's an empty stomach. Okay. And here's the other problem that they don't put in the side effects. When people get off of it, unfortunately, they're finding that everybody gains the same weight. So right now, as it stands, and maybe it's different, maybe it'll come around different. If you don't take it all the time, you will gain the weight back, because all you're doing is replacing the hormone that tells you if you're full or not. That's essentially what they figured out. Okay. So there's some other stuff in our world that does this that is really, really hard on the human body. But, I guess I'll get on my soapbox here. Birth control. Birth control is its entire purpose is to fake that person that's taking the birth control is pregnant for years and years and years. So it's taking your hormones, the chemicals of your body, and saying, hey, currently I'm pregnant, so therefore I can't get pregnant again. That's how birth control works. Birth control works by pretending your body's pregnant. Does that make sense? So think about that. Don't think in terms of what it's preventing, right? Or the weight loss. Think of the physiology that has to happen when something like this is occurring. So when you see something, right, like any kind of medication, this is how you should break it down. In my opinion, all of us should know how these work, right? If you're taking a beta blocker for blood pressure, know how it works. Essentially, you don't know, you have to know what the beta receptor in the whatever, right? We don't need to know that kind of detail, but walk through, if you're going to take it, know how it works. So at least in your brain, you can understand the physiology there. Okay. And that's the thing we don't talk about, because we just take it for the result. The problem with GLP-1 is it's very, very good at this weight loss situation. The weight loss situation is very desirable. In fact, I think the GLP-1 situation, I think it's beating when Viagra came out. I think it's beating the sales of Viagra, which is crazy, because that was like, I heard like it was insane the amount of situation, the amount of pills they were selling for that. And Viagra didn't have a lot of this stuff. Okay. So your gut health is super important. And it's probably one of the biggest things behind your nervous system. Okay. So it's just something that it's been assaulted with toxins for a really long time. So we have to be careful, not to cause our own stuff, some major stuff. Or yeah. Yes. Ooh, Brian. Yes. So one of the biggest things right now is muscle loss, right? So muscle loss happens to a lot of different things, because the body has to start catabolizing the muscle tissue because it's lost energy. If I go without food, but I have no bearing on that, my body starts to dwindle. Think of like the Survivor series, watching them with like very little food. They're miserable because they can feel the hunger, right? GLP-1 would have them not feel that hunger, right? So one of the problems is this, like Brian says it as well, gut loses power. GLP, right? So the gut loses the actual power to discern what your body needs for nutritional value. Okay. So I know that's a soapbox, and it's helped a lot of people too. So I don't want to I want to make sure, like, if you have these major conditions like type 2 diabetes and all those things, have this conversation with your doc. Maybe it is the right thing, but don't feel pushed into something unless you understand it well enough to make those logical decisions, because it's weird. GLP-1, the different ones, work phenomenal. It's weird. It works great for type 2 diabetic people, where they were just going to be on this sugar forever and all these things, and then it actually reverses things for them. It really can reset your body. The problem we have is when people started taking it when they don't have the type 2 diabetic problem, when the pancreas is working fine, right? That's what we got to watch. And we won't know those things for another 5 years. So that's what we have to be careful of, right? We already got a ton of gut issues in our society. Okay. Ooh, I like this one. And then we'll go on to our Dr. Mercola articles, because I love doing that. This is the last one that's trending. That's kind of cool. Snack-sized workouts. This is what's on there. So also called exercise snacking. This is about short 5 to 10 minute bursts of activity throughout the day, like wall sits during work calls or quick hit sessions. It's trending on Instagram Reels, TikTok challenges with a 10-minute glow-ups, appealing to busy people ditching the hour-long gym sessions. The virality is in its low barrier entry, no equipment needed. Benefits: improved cardiovascular health, better mood, endorphins, and easier habit building than long workouts. It's great for beginners, but combined with a balanced nutrition for best results, and you don't want to overdo it from recovery. Okay. That is an awesome idea. I have to give that one. That is a good trend. 10-minute little workouts is a fantastic idea. Biggest thing in all things is when you change your day, you change your life. That goes for your mental, your physical, and your emotional, right? If overwhelming you at the gym doesn't sound like the greatest thing, going in, spending an hour, kicking your own butt, so tired you can't get back to, don't want to get back to the house. Those are things that you have to think about in mind. Now, doing 10 push-ups, in the hallway at your work, maybe that's a thing, right? Maybe you try to get 30 push-ups by the end of the work day, or you do a wall sit for 5 whatever minutes, however long you can do it. It's not the easiest thing in the world, but those are kind of things that make sense, right? So a lot of times we tried doing that a few times, like with standing workstations and all those kind of things. And those work really, really well. But you do it in the day-to-day operations of a very busy lifestyle, you can really, really change the game. Instead of feeling guilty about either missing the gym or, getting on where at the end of the day, you get too tired and you don't go, right? So try that. The little exercise snacking. I like that. All right. So let's go into some Dr. Mercola stuff. Ooh, I like this. All right. Let's start with a good one. So this is a research article. This is Dr. Mercola. Yeah, I've talked about him before. Dr. Mercola has these fascinating articles, usually up to date, like within the day that we do this, so that, he picks up on all the research. He's probably got a team of ridiculous out there. But this one is pretty interesting, and it's a rare herb. Rare spice. So we're going to talk about this. Research links this common spice to better mood and intimacy. And can anybody guess? Anybody? If you get it in there, it's too late. I'm going to go. All right. Saffron supports both mood and sexual function, addressing a common problem where depression treatments often blunt intimacy. Clinical trials show a daily 30 milligram dose of saffron reduces depression symptoms at a level similar to common antidepressants used for mild or moderate depression. Unlike psychiatric drugs, saffron improves erectile function, arousal, lubrication, and sexual satisfaction instead of worsening them. So a lot of psychiatric drugs have that as a side effect. Saffron works best when underlying stressors such as inflammation, poor cellular health, energy production, and gut imbalances are addressed at the same time. Saffron is a spice, and one of the things to get the most benefit out of it, I want to have my gut bacteria at its peak, right? So that it can use that. That always goes with, that's one reason at the office we do it a lot. We do a lot of gut bacteria detoxing. So if you're ever interested in that program, let me know, because I love doing it. Consistent daily use for 6 to 8 weeks of saffron combined with stable sleep, movement, sunlight, and of course try to stay away from seed oils, produces the most reliable results. Okay, so remember that saffron's kind of cool. Like that one is one you don't hear about. It's an expensive spice, I know that. But it is more of a rare spice, so go look for it and try it. Some of those things are fantastic. I think I told you guys. Well, yeah, I did. Well, I'm going to try another dessert at some point, but remember this one because I made it last week. Avocado, put it in the blender. Cocoa powder, honey. You put, milk. So I used coconut milk at the time. You can use regular milk if you want. What else was there? I think that's it. If I forgot something. Oh, and pistachios. So then you put a little pistachios. You put that in a blender and you mix it until it's got pudding consistency. But if you put just enough cocoa in there, it is so delicious. It tastes just like a really good pudding that you'd get like at a restaurant, right? So, if you're into pudding, like chocolate pudding, this stuff is the bomb. So remember that, but it's so full of good fats because of the avocado, of course. And then cocoa has its own anti-inflammatory properties. But oh my gosh, it tastes so good. So good. So remember that one. But saffron, I'm interested in just trying the actual saffron. All right. Let me go to. Let's go to this one. And then I try to do a positive one each time as well. So this is Dr. Mercola's article as well. How gut microbiome imbalances affect the health benefits of your diet. Okay, I'm pretty big on this. Your gut microbes determine how foods affect your health, meaning identical diets produce very different outcomes on people depending on the microbial enzymes balance and overall gut condition. Large-scale research shows plant compounds required specific gut microbes for benefits, explaining why plant-heavy diets improve energy for some people, yet trigger bloating, fatigue, and food reactions in others. Gut dysbiosis, which is going to be called bad gut bacteria, basically. Gut dysbiosis reflects a cumulative daily habits, not isolated meals with ultra-processed foods, irregular eating, poor sleep, stress, medications, consistently disrupting the microbial stability of your gut and your gut barrier and your gut-brain barrier. So remember that. That's not part of this article, but it needs to be said. Sustained lifestyle changes over weeks to months restore healthier microbial activity, improving digestive comfort, reduced inflammation, and support whole body regulation in people with chronic metabolic inflammatory issues. Here's the rub, and I see this a lot. if let's say you want to take something we talked about tonight. So let's say we talk about saffron. So, or we go back to like in their beginning when it was dandelion root cleavers, bromelain, and rutin. So you have those four, and you want to do your lymph drain. The problem is we don't address the gut bacteria. You may not get the same benefit somebody that has good gut bacteria will get. Brian, we've discussed a little bit of this. So sometimes a lot of your herbal remedies are going to have a difficult time actually giving you the effect you want unless your gut microbiome is corrected. Now, if you're not to a point where all of a sudden you have these major gut issues, like the big ones like Crohn's and all those, there are ways that you can reverse this at fairly good clip. I am shocked at how good my patients do on this. I've had some people that absolutely reverse much quicker than I actually thought they would. And so it's fascinating, that, and it makes a lot of sense to you. If I have all my gut bacteria and the innate intelligence of my body is able to digest everything you throw at it, and there's no disconnect, then you're going to get the result. And like one of the things that I noticed, for years, I would eat a salad and not care. It wasn't a big deal. It was like, yeah, whatever. It was the salad next to the burger, or when you go out to dinner, they're always like super salad, and you grab the salad as you're eating the crappy stuff, right? So, or whatever, because it's so delicious, you just want to get to the salad, or the salad doesn't mean much. But what happened to me is once I understood the gut bacteria stuff, I did it on my own. Most of the time, if you ever hear me talking about it, I've done it, except for like saffron. I've never done that one, but most of the time, I'm going to try a lot of the things that we discuss on here. Well, gut bacteria, I did about 10 years ago. Got it right. Really started feeling well. Crazy. Immune system's great. All those things. One of the biggest things I noticed, though, was I started eating, when I ate a salad, it sounds so stupid. It felt like, and the greener and the better the vegetables and stuff in that salad, the more I got that, the better it energizes you. And it's not a coffee energy. It's a different energy. And so that's where I knew. I was like, oh man, gut microbiome has to be number one when you're looking at your nutrition. We have to start there. We have to start where the major toxins of your body can make its way in, right? There's a lot of different ways. We can get radiation from outside. We can get from the computer. We can get all this stuff. But one we can control is the toxins we put in our mouth, right? From medication to bad foods to fake sugar, all of those things end up causing us to have this gut microbiome that's not perfect. But once you get to that perfection, it's crazy because you can actually feel these things really start to benefit you, right? So some people will have, like they'll have an herb. They'll try an herbal remedy and it won't work for them for whatever reason, right? And another one, their best friend, it's like the best thing that's ever happened. So I always thought that's an interesting article that they're understanding that the gut microbiome has to be going well, right? A lot of times that's one reason I use a lot of what in the herbal world is tinctures, which is liquid herb, on purpose. It's because you don't have to digest those. And so I can see if you can actually, if it actually has an effect. If I bypass the digestive process with like a tincture, sometimes I can actually look and say, okay, did it affect you? And those kind of things. So just to let you know that I love that article. That was the one I was looking for last week. I was like, oh, that was great. All right. Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about this because me and my brother talked about it. I'm not sure where I stand on this article, so we're going to talk If you missed it, we had a motivational Sunday where my brother Ryan, who loves to weightlift, and if you ever want a whiskey barrel with your logo engraved on it, your name engraved, whatever you want, he can make it. He can make it happy. Look it on Facebook, a whiskey rhino. But this is an article on pre-workout supplements. Okay. So this is by Dr. Mercola again. Pre-workout supplements interfere with sleep and recovery in young people. Young people who use pre-workout supplements face more than double the risk of sleeping 5 hours or less per night, a level of sleep loss that undermines mood, learning, and physical recovery. So let's find out why. High-dose stimulants and pre-workout products keep your nervous system in a stressed, alert state, making it harder for your brain and body to shift into deep restorative sleep. Short sleep doesn't just cause fatigue, it pushes your body to adapt to exhaustion rather than strength, slowing progress even when training efforts stay high. Teens and young adults are especially vulnerable because their brain and nervous systems and hearts are still developing, making stimulant exposure more disruptive. Better performance comes from protecting your sleep, fueling workouts with food, and prioritizing recovery, not from relying on stimulants that interfere with nighttime repair. See how they used in that article, they are talking about youth, the younger you are. One of the reasons is because if you take a step back and you look and say, okay, when you say stimulant, what does that mean, right? So we're going to go through it. So when I stimulate my body, I'm artificially getting it active. Okay. So I'm artificially activating the stress side of the nervous system. So good example is of what they call fight and so your body goes in this, what they call sympathetic and parasympathetic. Your sympathetic is the side that's like the fight and flight. So what a pre-workout workout is designed to do a lot of times is to stimulate the nervous system to drive up your intensity prior to. The problem is, especially in young adults, so young and even younger, if you start that, the problem is your body wants to do that on its own. What are some other ways to do it without a stimulant? Mental training with awesome workout music. How about breathing techniques like the guy named Wim Hof? Actually, you breathe differently to increase it. Slapping yourself, I don't know. There's a lot of ways to actually stimulate without necessarily taking some kind of chemical stimulant, essentially, right? And a lot of times people get a really good amount of results. That's why I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, because I think in adults, sometimes it's kind of like creatine, right? So creatine, the creatine will not produce as well, in the younger athlete. Now, as we age, we start not producing the creatine as much. So then it can become a beneficial supplement. I think stimulants will be like that as well. I think stimulants could be that, where we don't get stimulated enough, where, we're sitting. A lot of times we have so much stress in a work day or whatever, your daily lives, that a lot of times, you go to work out and it's this relaxation, right? So I think that's a good article to just remember. A pre-workout thing to get you activated may not be the best thing all the time, but if you're an older individual, it's not a bad thing sometimes, right? That Ryan and I talk about that all the time. He does a pre-workout all the time. It mentally gets him prepared to weightlift, right? Well, if you can do that without doing the pre-workout, it would be beneficial because then your body goes, oh, I don't need necessarily that pre-workout to get there. Do you have to take it all the time to get the same, results? That would be my real big question. Is there a thing, like caffeine? Is caffeine by itself with no sugar? That's not bad. Like coffee, black coffee, that's not a big deal, right? But when you start adding these major ones like ephedra and all those things that really heighten up your nervous system, we should be ready for that. So maybe mentally prepare yourself a little bit and then try to not do the pre-workout stimulant one. Pre-workout amino acids and stuff, that might work, or pre-workout anti-inflammatory, something like that. I really enjoy post-workout recovery from the electrolytes. So making sure my drink is good. You should see the stuff I put in there. I always have a post-workout, but it's so delicious. Like Rachel had her weight, I would say her metabolism coaching. This company that she has this amazing, this amino acids, and it's delicious. It's delicious. It's so good. So it's part of my post-workout drink. I do this for my little herbal place. They have this little electrolyte pouch that I like doing because it's all pure natural. And then I'll throw like a little multivitamin in there. It sounds so, and a touch of creatine, it depends, right? So a touch of creatine once in a while will really get it going. The big thing is that it tastes delicious afterwards, and you can feel the electrolytes coming. So that was pretty cool. Well, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, I think that is all I'm going to do tonight. I like keeping it an hour, that, so you don't have to listen to my butt for longer than that. I do want to say, though, thank you guys. We had our 100th episode Sunday, and I totally forgot to say something. I've already done 100 episodes like this. I love it. I feel like I'm going to have thousands of episodes going forward. It's really, really fun. I learn so much. And as we grow, I think I'm up to, on Rumble, it's like 74 people. I love the fact that it's growing organically, and then I hope that the knowledge that we put out here is worth your time per night, so with that, I will talk to you Sunday night. I haven't decided what herb, though. It's an herbal one. So, like I will throw, I keep looking at different ones. We'll find a really good one. And then go over it. Maybe dandelion. I think I've done one on that though. So I got to see, but with that said, you guys enjoy the rest of your night. Enjoy the rest of the week. It's going to be amazing. Hang out with people, do a 10-minute, do an exercise snack tomorrow at work. Once you get up from your desk and you're walking over to your boss, do 10 push-ups on the way in there and then get back up. What could happen? What could go wrong? No one's going to think you're weird. That's just the way it is. With that, you guys have a great night. Take it easy.